Hello beautiful people, Carl here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short, of course. You should know that by now if you're watching this video and many of the other videos that we put up on this YouTube channel. Pretty consistent, right? That is something I've worked so hard at over the past few years, and it's great to see Liam doing his own stuff on the channel and being consistent as well. Consistency, you'll get the same stuff every week. Well, not the exact same stuff, but the episodic stuff and so on and so forth. Want to watch us spend far too long talking about Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures, Viva Pinata TV shows, Donkey Kong Country, video game adaptions, horror movies, all of that. It's all bloody here. I'm really proud of the YouTube channel, and I'm glad it's continuing to kind of go up and up and up and up and up to a certain degree. I had to cut there because I realised I'd put my cup of tea all the way over there and I really wanted to get it and I didn't want to lean across the camera, so I was like, you know what, just make a cut. I know I don't like to do that in these videos, but just make the freaking cut. So there was a cut there you would have obviously noticed, because now I've got a magic cup of tea, which is the very simple puck-up morning berry, because I've not been up too long and I've only had one cup of coffee and I want to switch to tea for this video. It is Saturday morning. I'm actually recording this on the day it's going to go up, so you're not going to get a very long one because I don't have as much time. It's been a pretty busy week. I've been on earlies at work, which is 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. and that does not give me a lot of time when I get home from work to when Lou comes in from her work and other stuff that's just going on. So I've only had a small windows to do tasks related to the site and so on, and it's really put me, not behind, but put me on edge, because I'm constantly feeling like I'm not doing certain things that I need to do this particular week, particularly when there's a lot of interviews booked as well. That's dominated a lot of my week. There was a point on Wednesday just gone where I had 4 booked in. Now that turned out to be 2, because as luck would have it, things go wrong, things don't work out, and that was very much the case there. So it ended up only being 2, but they are 2 pretty cool interviews and they will go up next week. But one of those was rebooked to yesterday, Friday, and that was done as well. So it's all pretty good. It's just been very, very busy. I felt like I'm constantly just one step behind. I spent last night, because I was home alone, basically sitting in front of the computer doing 3 to 4 hours work of album reviews, putting them up. Because here's the thing, the work begins with writing first, of course. Listening and then writing, you know. What am I listening to? What thoughts have I got on it? What does it make me feel like? And how do I want to describe it? That's part 1. And to be honest, that's the easy part now, I think. Because what comes afterwards is the monotony of having to publish. And it will set it up for publication, basically. So what that involves for me, obviously, is WordPress. Our website runs on wordpress.org. And with minimal plugins, over the years, I've learned, obviously, to minimize plugins to make the site run as best as possible. But what we use now, I feel, just nails what we need. And basically, we use that and still using the classic editor. If you know WordPress, still using the classic editor because it just flows so much better. I do need to really spend some time getting used to, obviously, the new editor. But for now, sticking with the old thing via a plugin. But yeah, that part is really monotonous because it's pretty much step by step by step, and I'm so used to doing it that I could almost do it with my eyes closed. And what I tend to do now is I build up my album reviews, EP reviews, horror reviews, whatever I'm reviewing, and I'll have like 10 things that need to go up, and that's what comes next. So I'll sit there and I'll open up the task, the page that's the album, say an album review is going to go up, and I'll go step by step by step for rereading it, making any small changes I need to, adding pictures, different fonts, you name it, links, YouTube videos embedded in, stuff like that. A significant album review, one with a decent length of say about 800 words, that kind of thing. That can sometimes, because of rereading and making sure, looking out for grammatical and spelling errors and stuff like that, that can take 10 minutes, whereas, you know, most take around 5 minutes. Game reviews I find take the longest because finding pictures that work with it and stuff like that can be a bit of a drag. Same with horror movies sometimes, and particularly if it's a fairly unknown or modern horror movie, finding images to use and stuff like that can be a little tricky. But basically that's what I spent Friday night doing. And I was pretty tired yesterday, and that was because the night before, been to a gig. And on earlies, you know, like basically, so for my early shifts, right, these days, I say these days, call them an age, I have to kind of be in bed by 10 o'clock. I'm going to be up at like between 5:15 and 5:30, depending upon the day, in the morning to get into work for 7 o'clock, or, you know, between 6:30 and 7 o'clock. So, you know, 10 o'clock latest. And even that, like, that's not a full 8 hours then, that kind of thing. So normally try to make sure, and, you know, I'll be consistent over the week. But, you know, gig night, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. So, like, Thursday night and a Friday morning, I think I went to bed just after midnight after getting in from a gig. And the gig was Cattle Decapitation and State of Intent, which turned out to be a joint headline show. I actually didn't know that. I didn't pay much attention to this gig. We bought tickets on a fly when we were at a quiz night. And we got talking, me, Brendan, and Lou. We're like, oh, let's do this gig. It'll be a nice early birthday present for Brendan because his birthday was January 31st. We can go to that the night before. So I bought the tickets and then it kind of just snuck up on me. And I was like, okay, right, I knew this gig was happening. Electric Bricks, didn't go to it. Didn't really pay attention too much of the support. On the day, I was like, oh, cool, Vulvadonia opening. But knew I wasn't going to get there for it because doors were 6:30. Got there about 7:30 in time to see Revocation. Pretty much walking in when they started, but pretty much saw the entire set. Got a nice view on the upper balcony, the first one up. So that was cool. Thought they were good. Got a little bored near the end. And then Shadow Intent came on. I don't really know Shadow Intent, but I thought they were phenomenal. But by the time Cattle Decapitation came along, it was like 10 o'clock, and then it was like, okay, this is quite clearly a joint headline. Looked at the poster and was like, of course it's a joint headline tour. They're both basically playing the same amount of time, and that's why Cattle Decapitation are on so late. I know it sounds so old, but man, like 10 o'clock on a weekday is like, come on, man. So that ended up running obviously quite late as well, and because of that, didn't get into, you know, very late. So I woke up Friday morning feeling pretty tired. Last early or not, it was an exhausting week, so it was really hard to be, you know, encouraged and feeling good and all that. But sometimes you just got to put your head down, particularly when it comes to like site stuff. And I could have ignored it. I thought, well, I was thinking, oh, get up Saturday morning, you know, and just do it then. But truth be told, I don't really have much time today either. And that's why this video isn't going to be too long, because we're going out for Brenda's birthday. Basically, we're meeting up. Going to go for some drinks, a lot of drinks probably, and yeah, just sit down, chill out, have some drinks, meet with some people, and have some fun. Basically, it's been a while since I've got the opportunity to do that. Probably not since the beginning of January actually, and it is obviously the beginning of February now, so it's going to be quite nice to do that. Recover tomorrow. That's the plan. So yeah, that's basically my weekend. Nothing really that exciting, truth be told, but I am looking forward to going out later on, getting out. That should be fun. And I'm kind of just looking forward to January being out of the way. Not because I'm like one of those people who sort of suffers from the whole January's really long month kind of thing. I know that's a pay-related thing for obviously certain industries and all that, but that doesn't work for me. But listening to people moan about it certainly does. Hearing people constantly go, oh, January's the longest month, certainly makes it feel like a longer month for me. But no, actually, it's because Cattle Decapitation kind of kickstarts a cool little run. And I'm going to bring it up on my phone because I want to get it right. A cool little run of gigs, basically, where thanks to work and shifts and all these sort of things around it, I've got a lot of fun gigs in February. A lot of bands I'm really excited to see. Bands that I've seen before, bands that I've never seen before, and bands that are coming over or, you know, playing London in sort of new environments, new venues that I've not experienced before. Yeah, so it begins with, on Thursday this coming week, we've got Grief Ritual, their album release shows, which of course the new album Collapse is out now. You can go read about that on the site or watch a video review and all the other stuff we've covered. It's a fantastic album, so do check it out. But that's the album release show at the Black Heart in London. But I'm really excited as well because Caligram, they're on that bill. That's fantastic. I'm going to forget everybody's on that now. Worn Out, of course, Worn Out. That's the band I'm really particularly looking forward to seeing because that'll be a first time. There's someone else, I'm really sorry, it slipped my mind. I haven't got a poster, I've just got a little tab saying Grief Ritual at the Black Heart on my phone, in my sort of planner. Then I'm going to go see Orm at Helgi's on Saturday the 15th. That was a kind of a random one. I didn't really even know that gig was happening. We decided, me and Lou, my wife, we decided, we're going to kind of go out throughout London on that Saturday and just go do a few things and stuff like that. But we didn't have anything for the evening. So we ended up kind of looking and thinking, well, what could we do in the evening? And then I came across that gig. And I was like, well, we've never been to Helgi's. We wanted to go and find a reason to go. This was it. Love Orm. It's Thuma Bad. I don't know if I'm saying that name right as well. We're really, really excited to see Orm. Oh my God, I lost my bloody words there. It's because I was clicking through things as well. Then on the 20th of February, really excited for this one. Like Ripcord Records Night Post-Metal, where you get Million Moons, Solars, and Civil Service. All brand new watches for me. And I love all three bands. Cannot wait for that. It might be one of my most anticipated gigs of the year. New Cross In, That is going to be wonderful. 2 days later, Sugar Horse at the Grace. Obviously, I've seen Sugar Horse loads. It's not a secret that I'm a massive fan of the band, but at the Grace, can't wait for that. And then it's Pantera at Wembley Arena. I'm intrigued by this one. These tickets have been bought a long time ago. And yeah, of course, I'm one of those who've never seen Pantera live. Of course. And obviously, you can debate till you're blue in the face whether or not this is the true Pantera or the non-true Pantera, whatever. Wembley Arena, I'm intrigued by this. I'm excited for it. You know, I've got reservations. Mixture of feelings about it, but I'm excited for it, and I think it'll be a lot of fun, even if it is a midweek gig for a lot of people. Obviously, that doesn't matter much to me because I'll work around it, but you know, most people. And then it kind of wraps up with March 1st, where I should be going to see Call Me More at the Electric Ballroom, the last day of their massive tour with Set It Off. Which is really, really cool. And I'm excited for that too, because I obviously recently interviewed Call Me More, which was great as well. I know I've had a lot of freaking interviews. Got some really cool stuff coming up, people. Night Flight Orchestra, for example. The City Is Ours. I keep almost saying The City Is Yours. I keep reading that wrong. I don't know why, but it's The City Is Ours. Obviously, you've got interviews like with Pretorian, things like that. And it's been a cool week for stuff like that. And I've worked really hard to try and kind of make some changes to how we promote this stuff. So like previously it used to just be go up and it used to be like sharing a YouTube link and that was about it. Then I changed it to a full-on article published on the site that includes links to YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Linktree and stuff like that. Obviously putting a fair bit more effort and a bit more time into that. Then now, where I'm now trying to make sure, as well as like posting about it on Instagram stories and stuff like that, I'm clipping off segments of part of the interview, just something that showcases it and using that on YouTube Shorts and stories as well. Trying to basically put as many eyes on these as we can. It's the one sort of thing that bothers me is the wrong word, because I don't sit there and dwell on it, but I do. It does sometimes. I wish these interviews would get a bit more focus. I'm not very good at following like the YouTube algorithms and leading into that. And I know I should, but I really just find it hard to want to. You know, I one of the things I hate's a strong word. One of the things I really don't like about other content sometimes on YouTube, and particularly when it comes to reactions and album reviews, that it's thumbnails. And you know what thumbnails I'm talking about. It's those thumbnails where the person's face is full on, the person in the video is full on in it, and it's always like heaviest album ever. And I just, it makes me cringe. I absolutely hate it. We try really hard not to do that. We did start doing it for reaction videos, but even then we put it in a frame and wanted to make sure it wasn't the sort of big focal point, but I can't bring myself to do that with a lot of the other stuff. I just dislike it so much. And obviously, if you know our channel, I kind of go for neatness. I'm a little bit of a neat freak when it comes to the covers, and we've got consistency across everything. The same with the titles and stuff like that. Once upon a time, we used to give them sort of their own sort of show titles, but I kind of stopped doing that outside of a few things. You know, I still like things like they made what into a movie and TV series. I'm going to use that, even though algorithm-wise, it means not a lot of people are getting seen and stuff like that. But the interviews and things like that, it's simply interview, band title and stuff. And so I don't really know what I'm doing wrong there. It'd be great to get more eyes on that stuff. Maybe it's just, it is what it is. It's such a niche, a niche thing. Some of these interviews that, of course, it's not going to be like, getting as many eyes as I would like. But I'm trying to do my best to make sure as many people see that stuff. If you do ever watch that stuff, these videos, these state of things, these ramblings, do please occasionally just think hitting that like. You don't have to subscribe. Fair enough. I get it. Like, I don't always, subscribe to everything either. So it's totally fine. But, a link, a like, a comment, stuff like that. I know everybody says it, but it really does kind of make a difference. So it'll be very, very cool. But if you don't want to, it's fine. It really actually is. I'm okay with it. I'm chill about stats these days. I just really, really enjoy this. I really, really enjoy this. Even while I sit here and complain about a very busy week and a busy upcoming week. God damn, the music that's coming out is simply fabulous, isn't it? I am in awe of how much great stuff is coming out. I wondered, like how long it would take before I hit a 10 out of 10, and I think I've got 3 up now already. I know you can say, oh, you dished that number out way too easily. I really don't care if it's that freaking good, or is there's nothing can be 10 out of 10. Of course it can be 10 out of 10. It's the best thing that reaches that scale. It's not infallible. It's not saying there's nothing better, but that is our scale. Our scale goes from 0 to 10, and we don't go higher than 10. So there you go. Something's going to hit that 10. I don't see the problem. This is a really nice tea. It is one of my favourite. Up there as one of my favourite anyways, alongside some of the lovely nighttime one. But I'm not going to stop banging on about tea. I don't want to bore you. I want to talk about a specific thing. It's really what this video is about more than anything else. Weird week that kind of started with me getting a message on Facebook from someone I didn't know, but someone basically sending me a message saying, hey, in so many words, congratulations, you've been nominated for Moshville Radio's Journalist of the Year 2024. You and two other names. One I was familiar with, Matt Noble, who writes for the Razor's Edge and is involved in a lot of other things as well. Involved in a band Alanya as well, and we know each other. We met a few years back at Bloodstock. Okay, you're going to have heard that. I do apologise for that. That is currently my wife in a separate room. Yeah, so we met a few years ago at Bloodstock, basically through Dan Carter of DC Sound Attack, and, you know, he was just really nice to me, and I thought that was so cool. We've kind of met each other a handful of times at Bloodstock since then, Arctangent, and it's always been such a pleasure to talk to them. Admittedly, I didn't realise until only a year or two ago that he was Razor's Edge, because obviously he also works for DC Sound Attack as well and is involved in music too. So that was really, really cool. The other fella, George Miller, I wasn't aware of. However, that's Foodnati and Devolution, and it's been a pleasure to sort of learn a little bit more about him and sort of see and read and understand. Like, wow, these, you know, I'm alongside two extremely talented names, people I admire, people I consider peers. And the same goes for Moshville, of course, as well. Moshville Radio being a part of Moshville Times. But I thought the message was fake. That's how stupid I was. I looked there and went, what? Because I've never considered, journalist, it's that word, you know, it's that journalist, as Cilla Black would say. I generally can't get that okay in my head. I really, really can't get that okay in my head. I had to pause that briefly just to go and ask Lou to keep the noise down just a little bit while I finish up this video. Yeah, she's got headphones on, so she's not quite aware of how much noise is being made in a separate room. Hey, it's the cost of life, right? When you got dishes to do and you live in a small flat. What are you going to do? I don't have a studio. I don't have my own separate area. So it's no big deal. But what was I saying? Yeah, I was talking about, obviously, this nomination. And, like, the journalist thing. And, like, the idea that I was considered that for stars, or I am considered that, still weirds me out, you know. I'm not trying to underplay it. I'm hold humbly as a crap like that. That's not what I'm kind of doing here. It's that a journalist is someone who's supremely qualified, covers like news, and is out there like roving report. I still see it almost like a cartoon kind of thing. So to sort of see my name suggested in that was unusual, or like put forward in that was very, very odd. But like sort of. Then it kind of, like, it became real, because obviously it went up in social media and others shared it and talked about it and stuff like that, which kind of prompted me to kind of share it as well. And suddenly I felt very, very, like, honoured and very, like, proud as well, because I do put a lot of work into this. I try really hard to do this, to cover as many bands as possible, and I do it for the love. There's very little money involved in this, and any money that is gained goes directly back into making this site run and the channel and stuff like that. But yeah, so like to get that recognition was very, very cool, particularly as I said from peers too. It is taking place today, and I'm Reading, the show and the event and stuff like that. I wish I could go. Honestly, I only got a week's notice of it, so it wasn't going to be possible. And obviously, I've got Brendan's birthday drinks today as well, so that's not going to happen. But regardless, I thoroughly I'm so cool to see it. I know everybody's going to say this. I know how this sounds. I don't care if I win or not. That's the simple fact of it. If I was to win, obviously that would be so cool. That really, really would. But look who I'm up against, as far as I'm concerned. Like, those two fellas, they are so talented, so uniquely talented, that honestly, to even be mentioned in the same breath as them, to be considered alongside them, is simply fabulous. It's so fucking cool. And it really, it shook me up. When I first realised it was real, I got a little bit upset at work and stuff like that. Like, a little bit, not like, oh, I'm going to cry or anything like that. I mean, just, I felt like uncomfortable and unsure and wondered, like, and I started to underplay it in my own head and stuff like that because of imposter syndrome. And I've talked about this before, but this is something that I've suffered from constantly. There are times when it's not as bad, and there are times when I almost get a bit like, yeah, I am good at this and I deserve this and earned this and so on and so forth. But the majority of the time, I'm in that state of, I don't belong here. And it weirds me out. Nowhere is that more prevalent than at, say, festivals. Bloodstock is a constant fight over imposter syndrome. It gets, weirdly, right, every morning, it kicks in bad. Then by the time I'm like 5-6 interviews in, I'm full on in my zone. I'm full on vibing and like, bring it on, that kind of thing. So it does come and go. Excuse me. But for the most part, I always feel like I just don't belong. And I don't belong because we're look at the names we're alongside of and things like that. That I have run into a few people, particularly at festivals and stuff like that, who have looked down upon me and us in general. I'm not going to mention any names, of course. Some things have been said to me from PR. Certain comments here and there have been said that, I've taken to heart. And some of it I've learned from. Some of it's been good advice. Some of it's just been a little bit disparaging and condescending, so to speak. But most of the time, everybody's been nothing but lovely and wonderful, and let me share the space with them. That's how it's kind of been. But we still get it. I still get it now. GBHBL, who? Like that. That's a response sometimes I will get. Who? And it's like, yeah, I get it. You don't know us. That's fine. And yeah, I get it. The title, the Games, Brains and Headbanging Life thing is wordy as fuck. I really don't care about it. I think I mentioned this at the very start. I've gone through phases about the title where I'm like, God, I wish I had thought it through a little bit more sensible at the start. I really don't care. I love it because it is what it says it is. We are not a specific heavy metal site, a rock and heavy metal site. We are not. We are games, horror, metal. Those are the three things. And through that, we found a way to combine it into a title that flows off the tongue. Games, Brains, and a Headbanging Life. It's not a difficult title to say. So I always find it really insulting when people go, Games, Brains, and then start acting like it's difficult to say. Like, you're almost insulting me to a certain degree. I think you know what you're doing when you do that as well. So, by the by, stuff like that has always obviously affected as well. But for the most part, it's been a wonderful experience, and it's one that's got better and better and better. I put a lot of effort in. When I now put like album reviews up, I'm doing album reviews this year, I always see in our own related content that how many years I've been covering these bands and stuff like that. Some of these bands I've been covering now for nearly 7 or 8 years across multiple releases and things like that. And yeah, maybe it doesn't make the difference to them numbers wise and stuff like that, but chances are it's made a difference here and there. Either a little boost for tracks, someone hearing about a band they may never heard about, spreading the name of a band who's in the underground of completely different countries scene to this country and so on. I know this stuff matters, and I know I've done a good there. But it doesn't mean I still don't get that imposter syndrome. Obviously, like I said, it happens most at festivals. But another good example is in a live environment when I've been allowed access to sort of more important areas. That can be a little bit of an unusual feeling as well. That's kind of when I turned into a little bit more of a journalist, actually. That's when you'll see me suddenly with a phone, taking a lot more pictures and writing notes and stuff like that. I almost instinctively want to look like I'm doing something really important. Even though I am. I'm always there to watch, write, and review. Even if it's me paying for it myself. Cattle Decapitation, a good example. We bought those tickets ourselves. And we bought this, and so many of the gigs coming up, tickets have been bought for. Now, this is an interesting thing, and I think this is maybe where a part of imposter syndrome comes from. I don't utilise or get that many live invites. Truth be told, there are plenty of offers. But often as offers come for bands that I'm already banged into and I've already bought tickets for. Now, I'll give you a little bit of insight here, but those live invites don't come months before a gig or the moment a gig is announced. They tend to come closer to the time, depending upon the band and the agency and who's involved and stuff like that. Sometimes they'll come directly from a band as well, but it can often be a bit closer to the actual event dates. If I really like a band and I really want to see that band, you do realise I'm not going to chance missing out, because obviously being invited put on a guest list isn't a guarantee. So why would I risk I want to see these bands. Look at someone like Reef Ritual this Thursday. I did get an offer this last week to kind of come for a guest list and stuff like that. I've had those tickets for before Christmas. I think, before Christmas, but I've had them a while. That's what I'm getting at. because I really want to go to that show. I really want to see these bands. I'm not going to wait and risk that selling out and not getting guest lists and then be like, why the hell didn't I buy those? You know, that kind of thing. So that's kind of where that comes from. But when I get those opportunities, and it tends to happen more for bands that I wouldn't buy tickets for necessarily, or that I've just got too much going on so I can't do every single gig, and so I'll do this on a, like, okay, it's not going to cost me any money, that kind of side of things. But obviously those opportunities give me that imposter syndrome as well. I always get nervous when I go up to like a box office, to be like, my name should have been in the guest list, Carl Fisher, that kind of thing. Even though 99% of the time I've never had a problem with that. I think there's been a couple of times where it's not quite worked out. It's always worked out after the fact. Like normally I'm given a contact number and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's worked out really, really well. But I still get nervous about that. And then if I'm given access to sort of different areas or given like a pass that's got like a specific thing in it, it's like, oh, okay, this is going to be a little awkward for me. And obviously, at these gigs and stuff like that, I'm not trying to get drunk, and so I'm not going to loosen up in that sort of sense. So it really, really hits there. But this whole imposter syndrome has sunk in, and it's been in this case all week. I'll be kind of glad today when it's all over and done with, because I can give my thumbs up to whoever won. And if I don't know what I'll do if I win, basically, put it that way. But like, it would be cool if I do. It really would. It'd be such a freaking honor. But honestly, the two guys really are so goddamn talented. They really, either of them can deserve it. But like, it's been such a unique experience to sort of go through the ups and downs and sort of, see people saying things and so many wonderful things online and congratulating me. And of course, that imposter syndrome forces me to play it down, to sort of be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, Moshville Radio, like, I end up almost accidentally insulting them on my head, even though I certainly don't mean that. It's like, oh, and I'm like, well, who would matter? And I've always had a little bit of an iffy feeling about award shows as well. I'm not a big fan of like things like the Oscars and stuff like that, because an industry that slaps itself on the back is a little bit, is a little weird. I've always found myself a little uncomfortable with that side of things. But I also see there can be forces for good, in particular when it comes to the underground scene. And that's what I think I've really grown up with, like understanding what this Moshville Radio are doing and seeing it's like, so like they've got like unsung heroes. And these are people who are work hard in the background for like festivals or promotions and stuff like that. I thought that was staggeringly good. The nominations for festivals are like the smaller ones, and the ones that like are working really hard, like Mangata are in there, Uprising are in there for like fest. I love this. Like they're covering the underground, and that feels so much more important than, hey, let's go give Bloodstock and Download, no insult to these festivals, another award for being a festival of the year. Well, duh, they ain't exactly got much freaking competition, are they? And things like that. It's so I love that side of things. The band nominations, the album nominations, it's all for bands that are in the underground. I love that. So congratulations, Moshville Radio. I can't wait to see this. I want to keep an eye. Even though I'm going to be out of a pub, I'm going to keep an eye on this on my phone. I'm really intrigued to sort of see who wins and things like that. Because some of these festivals, like for example, like Mangata and Uprising, I've got experience with and I've attended over the years. So it's been an absolute pleasure to see how things like that work. The other names in other nominations, unsung heroes, promoters, backline people, all this sort of things. It's people I know or I'm aware of or I've spoken to. It's bloody fascinating. And it's just felt like a really, really sort of, a nod in my direction, a happy nod in my direction that's made me go, okay, people notice you. People do notice you. I know that's pathetic, isn't it? Almost to a degree. Oh, look at me. But no, I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I've made a lot of friends and contacts through it. People that I admire, people that I've grown to care about, people that I won't see often, but when I do see them, it'll come with a hug and a smile. That is one of the best things ever. So I know people notice me and people notice the website and notice what we do as well. But to sort of see it validated in this way, it's a genuine honour, and it's been like something I've struggled, like I said, to get my head around all week. To point it, and I knew, like I put in my notes, I was like, you're going to end up talking about this, and I knew it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense, and it'd be quite rambly like this. But I don't know. I don't think imposter syndrome will ever go away. And there's always something to remind me of it. Normally from the video game freaking industry. That place sucks. And there's a reason why we don't ask anymore or put many requests in for codes. We have a few contacts, thankfully, in that area who are kind enough just to send us this stuff, mainly for indie games. And they're really wonderful. And it's always fun to do that. But I had an experience a few many years ago when it came to requesting codes, where a small developer who I'm glad to see, as mean as this sounds, I'm glad to see, well, no, actually, no, I'm not glad to see, because it was probably the PR person more than anything else, but who basically aren't really that big, make a game here and there, that kind of thing, but was really disparaging when it came to replying to my "can I have a code for this game to review" thing. After that, I swore I'd never do it again, and I've certainly never asked. We're not considered in those breaths, and we should be, because we are not one of those game websites where you're getting the content up to date and reviews quickly and all of that sort of thing. But it's probably the worst part of it as well. The horror side of things can be quite fun. We've got cool contacts in that, get some good emails coming through, and of course the independent directors and writers, you're also wonderful to occasionally reach out and say, hey, can you check this out? And of course authors as well. We should never forget, we write a lot of horror book reviews too, so check that stuff out. But yeah, I don't think it's ever really going to go away, particularly whenever I get something big. Like, I know it sounds big. What do I mean by big? Somebody that I would think that's out of my league, so to speak. I felt that this week, getting to speak to Bjorn on Night Flag Orchestra. That's like, yay! Like, that's such a cool opportunity, and it's when I still get a little bit nervous. Lovely dude, really, really nice, very honest and open, which was really, really cool. But I still get nervous, and that's when those imposter syndrome sort of sinks in, and I'm like, oh, I don't deserve to be doing this. I don't deserve, and like, I'll be like, oh, I wonder what he looks at his interview and he sees Games, Brains and Headbanging Live or GBHBL, and he's like, what the hell is that? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not one of the, that's not the Razor's Edge, that's not Moshville, that's not Kerrang or Metal Hammer. What the hell are these idiots? And it's, it always comes in my head. I am able to get rid of it, and I don't sink into it, and I don't dwell on it, and I'm like, no, I do this, and I deserve this, and so on. I also have a certain level of arrogance about what I do, to balance that out. We're never going to be world-beating website for things like that, but if we can just we've carved out a little bit of a niche that occasionally goes up and down, and people seem to read and like, and share and enjoy, and hopefully brighten people's lives a little bit when it's a positive review for your band or your music. When I'm talking about it, and the passion that we exude also reflects what you're doing. Anytime we do that, it makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? It really does make it worthwhile. I know we all say, hey, we don't need validation, but a little bit of validation is nice, just to be reminded that, hey, it matters. And I felt that this week. I felt like it all really matters, and I'm not just screaming into the frickin' void about all the great music that's out there. So can't wait to see what happens. I will talk about this again next week. I will mention once I find out who the winner is, of course, and other things. I might even just go through all of them, depending upon if my notes are solid enough. As you can tell, this one's been a little bit less organised. I don't normally like to leave it so late, because now I have to edit and quickly get it up before I go out. But yeah, I just didn't have the time, really didn't. But I want to keep this consistent. You're going to get one every week, and you will get one next week. But that is the state of things as it stands this week. What do you reckon, folks? Got any thoughts you want to share with me? You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.